Today's webinar is going to be how to build a public adjuster pitch deck. Having worked in marketing, on and off, or every small business owner has to work in marketing. It's just a fact of life. But usually, this advertising industry will call it a pitch deck. For you, it's going to be sales, but you're really pitching your services and benefits to potential clients. So that's what I called it here. I have two polls open. The software that I use doesn't let me roll the questions out as I need them, but they're there all for you to answer ahead of time. Underneath someplace, there is a poll question that says, do you currently have a formal process for sales presentations? Yes or no? I'd be curious if you could find it, if you could just say, do you have a formal process? Flip charts, a PDF, a PowerPoint, standard emails. Like, is there anything that you're currently using in your sales process before you get a contract signed that is repetitive and things like that? So that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, is ideas. And there's so much, and there's so many different types of techniques to sell. And if any of you have talked to me on the phone, because I generally do the demos and things for ClaimWizard, I'm not that great of a salesperson. I love training, I love teaching, I love helping. But when you say sales, I get a little icky, to be honest with you. But that's how it goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through all of that today, and I'm going to show you what's on our agenda so you know what you're getting ahead of time, which I've gone through for the rest of the webinars coming up through the end of the year, and have actually put in little blurbs about what specifically you'll be learning rather than just a title, because that doesn't tell you that much. So on today's webinar, what we are going to cover is the benefits of using a sales deck process, using this process that I've kind of put together. This experience, as with many things that I help work through with you guys, is based on I started working professionally in 1989. Let's pretend Lynette can do math on that. And I've worked for small companies and large corporations and pretty much everything in between. I prefer to work with small companies. Corporate scares me. I don't like them. They work too slow. But either as a business owner or as someone helping businesses grow their business in whatever capacity. But of course, y'all know that I've been working with PAs for a very, very long time, 23 out of the years of the past 7 years with public adjusters. So I hear a lot about what works and what doesn't. That coupled in with information that I have from other industries, different size companies, different companies across North America. We've kind of put this together for you. So that's where the brain dump came from this. Next, we're going to be talking about what I call the 3-step closing map. And these are the 3 main pieces of your process that I believe that everyone should follow to land sales quicker and get that contract signed on your first and hopefully only sales visit to that policyholder's location. Step 2, most people skip. Most people will fight me on step 2, but I promise you that's the secret sauce right there. Next, we're going to talk about a sales deck framework. When I say deck or pitch deck or things like that, I'm talking about a presentation of any capacity. I'm going to show you the way, and the way, like the Mandalorian, this is the way. I'm going to show you how professionals that do nothing but teach sales professionals all of the time, how they kind of build this sales deck. And it's a story, and you have to lead those people through the story to get to the end, to get to the resolution that you want, which is pen on paper, you working on their claim. And then I'm going to highlight a little bit about how sales decks go wrong. And it's never a shaming thing because I do it every single day of my life. So that's just kind of how that works. But here's some things about what doesn't work and why it doesn't work. Because unlike telling a toddler, no, I want to know why. So we're going to kind of go over that as well too. Okay, next up. Hey, that's me. A little bit for people that have never been on a demo before, or a demo. You could tell what I was doing all today. Never been on a webinar with us today. So I'm just curious if you're new and have never attended a ClaimWizard webinar live before, let me know in the chat. I'm always curious. So this is about me. You can all figure that out later or go back and rewatch it. First time, hey, Ronald, thanks. I won't bore you with that, with the exception of the fact that I've been working with PAs for a very, very long time. Okay. As per usual, my disclaimer goes, these webinars are not designed to help you use the ClaimWizard software platform. These are the places you can get help for that: academy.claimwizard.com and help.claimwizard.com. These webinars are made to be business building pieces and education for you. We do them every other Wednesday unless something weird comes up. And we have lots of them on deck. All of our old webinars are available on YouTube. I'll share that link after. Okay, chit chat done. What are the benefits? Oh, Rick's new too. What are the benefits of using a sales deck? It's going to be super easy, right? It's going to be super easy here, folks. And if you've never been on a webinar, y'all should learn that I like quotes. I loved this one. I have a lot of friends in my professional circles that are professional sales trainers, like big, huge corporations hire them to teach their pharmaceutical people how to sell and this, that, and the other thing. And what it really comes down to is, yes, you need to be good at what you do, but especially in your industry, being public adjusting, you have to be passionate about helping people like them. And I think that's something that sometimes gets lost a little bit. So I want to make, I just kind of wanted to put that quote out there for you. Don't tell me that you're passionate about your job. Show me that you're passionate about helping people like me. And the people like me is your potential clients. Okay. See how easy this is? What are the benefits of using a slide deck? Time, money, time, money, time, money, always, right? So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is always be answering the what's in it for me. And marketing geeks will hyphenate that with them, which we'll see in a moment. But when I say what's in it for me, I don't mean you as a public adjuster. I mean me as the client, as the policyholder, as the person that had my kitchen burnt down. That's what we're going to talk about. And then the goals of your slide deck, of your presentation, are to show, because you have a very visual industry with damaged photos and, you know, documents that kind of show, or that you can highlight, even if you're not showing the exact document of, what the carrier's initial offer was, if they even agreed to pay anything versus the final settlement that you get. So that show and tell is very, very powerful. Something that you all have in your arsenal a lot more than a good number of industries. Thinking back at this, like, I think it's coming up on 2 years. It's been a year and a half. I got a knee replacement, right? Welcome to middle-agedom. I'm not going to ask my surgeon for before and after pictures. Like, I don't want to see other people's things, but I do. If my kitchen burns down, I want to see what it looked like before, what the damage looked like, what it looked like in process of getting fixed. I want it to look like what it looks like after. Am I going to have the same 1980s ugly cabinets? What's it going to look like? Show me what my life could look like if I work with you. So those are really the two big goals that we're going to have with your slide decks going forward. Example of WIFM, right? What's in it for me, the WIFM. Marketers do like their acronyms. So the example that I found is actually pretty relevant for me, because I am in the process of waiting for a new car for myself. And my 12-year-old will constantly look at the specs of the car and tell me how fast the thing goes from 0 to 60. I don't care. What I care about is when I step on that gas pedal, I need to move, because traffic in San Antonio, Texas, these people are insane. They don't like to use their blinkers. I don't care. I don't understand what 0 through 60 in 7.4 seconds means. So if you're a car dealer telling me that, that's a feature. I don't know anything about that. What I do want to know is that if I'm driving a Mustang versus a hybrid, that if I step on the gas pedal, I'm going to move into traffic when I need to, or get and change lanes. That's a benefit, right? So that's where you're telling the prospect with them. So you're going to look through what you're offering. And obviously you guys know your own business the best. It's not, hey, we're going to do this paperwork for you and we're going to keep track of the deadlines and we're going to do, hey, this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to work with you. We're going to take care of this. So all you have to think about is keeping your family safe and picking out new cabinets for your kitchen that burnt down. Like that's benefit right there. No stress, that sort of thing. So come up what makes it unique for you. You work with residential clients, they're going to have a different story that you need to tell them versus commercial, right? So a big pushback about a lot of times when I'll say in air quotes with salespeople, um, I don't want to say air quotes, what salespeople will sell is they'll come in there and oh, I can handle all of this for you. And, you're talking as if it was a residential claim. I know you have to go to work all day. We have, processes. We can get this all taken care of. You don't have to waste your time, that kind of thing. But you wind up, you're talking to a commercial client and they're like, well, we have people in our office that this is what they get paid to do. So we can do this on our own. Like, if you offer a solution and they say, so what, it's not the right solution for them. So you have to be very agile and be able to assess, and we're going to talk about that in a bit, what your prospect needs. But I firmly believe that your sales deck, your slideshows, your everything should have multiple versions or pages that you can just skip or hide for some and show for others, if that makes sense. Again, because a lot of my background, professional background is professional speaking. I have a friend, and we all say in public speaking, professional speaking, like slides are death. You should be able to speak on your own without the backdrop or the crutch of a slide. And I agree to that point, but I do think that with these particular clients for public adjusters, you need leave behind, you need send ahead kind of things so they can kind of digest this information on their own process. But again, if you send a commercial client or prospect information that's more geared towards residential, they're going to go, this, so what does this mean to me? So make sure that depending on who your target is, if you work with everybody, you got to have a different little bit of a flavor for everybody versus if you're just residential or just commercial. Or I met someone the other day on the phone that told me their preferred client was people that had big houses on the intercoastal waterway. I was like, those houses are a lot of money. I could see where you could narrow that down. So he talks about boat slips and all these other kind of things that make sense for them. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay. So when I mean show and tell, it's various different ways. I think that client testimonials are amazing. I love going through y'all's websites and reading your client testimonials. I think when there's stories behind them, they mean a lot more. I don't just want to see a graphic that says, carrier offered $1,200. I get them 15,000. Like that doesn't, that's nice, but it's very abstract. I want to see client testimonials that, really, it's marketing, it's advertising, it's sales, it pull at my heartstrings. I want to hear things that sound like me. So every single time, and I've done this in prior webinars, what we call the close file review. So look up, and it looks like Indiana Jones if you're looking on our YouTube page. The close file review is where I say this is how you categorize your prior clients, the ones that you've just closed out. And if they are high enough quality, ask them for testimonials, ask them for referrals. So that's where you're feeding this to go now back for sales at the beginning of the process. I think video is phenomenal. I think a PDF, like a one sheet, would be phenomenal. I like having the information in multiple different types of mediums, something you can print for people that, maybe if your demographic isn't really web savvy or email savvy. I like for you to have a web page on your website that maybe is not linked everywhere, that you send somebody a special link to it. So one for intercoastal waterway people, one for commercial clients, one for residential clients, one for property investor clients, whatever that is that you need to do. Break down those testimonials, break down those videos, and make it so it's speaking just to them. I'm also a big fan, in ClaimWizard we do this, but you can easily do it well, you can do it. I don't know how easy it's going to be for the what I call the top 25 claim sheet. So that's the delta sheet, right? In ClaimWizard, if you look under reports and you just put in the number 25, it'll jump to it because I never remember the exact name. But it shows you the top 25 deltas between initial carrier offer and end settlement that the PA got. And that's where you're going to show $1,200 versus $15,000. You're going to get it by peril, by city, by all of those things. So if you're going to St. Pete, Florida, and you've had clients there that had similar houses or whatever the general connector is that makes that client understand like what's in it for me, how have you worked with things like me before, they're going to understand that. So that's something you can run off every time you go to do a sales presentation that's custom just for them. But honestly, a lot of this requires thought and work ahead of time. And then every time you go and do it after that, it's easy. It's just kind of boilerplate, cut and paste. If you know me, I like to front load things. I'd rather do the work up front and benefit over and over and over again and have my life be more simple. I also love before and after property shots. Matterport is killer for this. If you have a fire, like I know a lot of people don't want to pay for it. I forget what people will charge. If you have a Matterport camera, even better. But I've seen Matterports of the destruction, right? Which I think is scary and amazing. And you can see exactly like I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff. And you can see exactly in the kitchen, the smoke stains on the walls just get darker and darker and darker until you can probably take a half educated guess about where the actual fire started, right? But what I never see people do, you may have before pictures. Obviously, no one's going to take a Matterport of their house unless it was just on the market. The before, the during, but take a Matterport after. Take photos after. Ask your clients to send you pictures after. Maybe not do Matterports of every single client after they fix something, but if you've got big whale clients, maybe you want to spend the extra $100 and have somebody do quick Matterports of the location after it was completely restored. Like that's powerful. That's very powerful for people to actually be able to go on their phone and click through and see, well, my damage isn't that bad. And look at how, like, it makes a lot of sense. It connects a lot of the pictures. So also, like I said, with that top 25 claim sheet, if you don't have it, the initial carrier offer versus the PA's final settlement, those are powerful numbers. Different people are going to react to different ways. Some people are visual. Some people are more emotional. Some people are more practical. So those practical people are going to want to look at your numbers. For example, when my husband and I bought our first house, he literally mapped out square footage, cost per square footage, weighted certain rooms heavier than others, like the kitchen and the bathrooms and the bedroom had more importance than other rooms. He had this crazy algorithm. As you know, he is the other founder of ClaimWizard, so go figure that he's a data geek. I was looking at things like, do the rooms flow together? Can I imagine raising my kids here? Two totally different polar opposites of what we were looking at in a house. You don't know who that person's going to be, what they're going to react to when you get there, unless you have a hint. Prepare things in multiple ways that you can do. The pictures are great. The numbers are great. Everybody wants this, but some things are going to resonate with them more than others. Okay. So this is the 3-step closing map coming up next. If there's any questions, throw them in the sidebar. I will get to them. I'm always a one-woman show running this. My team never wants to work late and help me navigate the webinar. They watch it after the fact on YouTube. But in this 3-step closing map, this closing process, you'll see steps 1 and 2. Once you do them once, you never have to do them. You never have to create them again. It's just a matter of clicking buttons and sending them out. And step 3 is the thing you always have to do, which is, get a signature on a piece of paper. So I saw this quote, and again, Lynette with her quotes, and it took me a while. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And it's by Bruce Lee. And I didn't even have to say where Bruce Lee was from because everybody knows Bruce Lee, right? I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Yeah, When you come down with that one kick, this process, I want you to do it over and over and tweak it and refine it until it is a killer sales process for you. Don't scatter around and try this one time and something else next time or once you get something that works, stick with it to refine it. Don't keep flopping all over the place because you'll never be able to compare apples to apples. You'll start doing something that works really well for you, and then you'll change three things and you won't know which of the one things actually work that you shouldn't have touched. So just hone in on this as much as you can, folks. Okay, first thing, qualify your lead. I am shocked when I talk to people and they like have to hurry and get off the phone with me, which is totally cool. Your time is very important. And I said, where are you going? I got to go to sales lead. What kind of client? What kind of, I don't know. All I have is a street address. They didn't even look up the street address to see what kind of structure it was. Got back with that person. They called me. They're like, it was an apartment building for contents that probably was like not even $500. So you just burned 2 hours out of your day to go to somebody's, they had a party and screwed up a bunch of stuff in their apartment kind of thing, because you didn't qualify your lead. You took that lead from the internet and you got in the car and you drove. You called them up. You said, I'll be there. When do you want to meet? Total waste of your time. Now, I have another webinar coming up because Lynn always does that talks about valued work, right? $1, $10, $100 work. You just did $100 work for a $1 thing. So I want you to think about that. Qualify your leads on the phone. Talk to them because you're going to get a lot of information out of their disposition and their tone and things like that. If it's not you, have an assistant do it depending on the size of your company, right? You as the adjuster, I don't feel always have to qualify your lead. Sometimes you may have a really easy to talk to person in your office. He or she can call, because sometimes, clients get on the phone or prospects and they want to tell you the whole life story, the whole thing. And you're like, time is money, time is money. It is. That's $10 work in the middle. So let somebody on a $10 level kind of take care of that. What you should have, though, is a prospect lead sheet that sit it by the phone, at the office or whatever. So if someone calls you or emails you, you can get that sheet out and answer questions and write it down, that sort of thing. Because again, and I don't necessarily do it always with my company, but people call me and I'm like, I forget the notes of the particular person because you've got hopefully clients calling you all the time or prospects calling you all the time. But what should you be paying attention to? What makes a good lead a great client? You have to think about that for yourself, I'll be honest. But what we're going to do is we're going to figure out there's 3 A's of how we're going to assess things because Lynn does love alliteration. So I always feel the need to put my video on sometime. So I want to talk about awareness, right? Because when I talk to my friends that don't know squat about what public adjusting is, or they don't know, they just know Lynette does something with some software and it's got an orange logo. In my personal life, right? What's a public adjuster? Well, I don't know. I think you're like a lawyer. Well, okay, let's do a little education on the phone before they're going to be a hard no when I show up there and they're just giving me the stonewall. How did they find out about you? Maybe they have a friend that used you, so they kind of understand through the grapevine how the process works. If they found you, I'd say Yellow Pages, but that's not a thing. They found you on Google. Did you read up on us on I mean, did a roofer refer you? Like, how did you come to know about us? Because that's also going to tell you a lot about what they know about public adjusting. Because I will say over and over again, write it in stone, the most difficult job a public adjusting company has is getting the general public to understand what a public adjusting company does, right? They don't even know you exist. Everybody needs public adjusters, in my opinion. Next, ask them, how do you think this process is going to go? Sometimes because they've been fed misinformation, they think they have to do all the paperwork, the documentation, the legal, the reading of this, the taking of pictures, and all you do is collect 20%. That's what some people think public adjusters do because maybe carriers or other people have persuaded them to feel that way. Make sure they're educated. Well, we take the onus on, yes, we need to contact you for certain things and get your opinion and your approval, but we'll take this because we understand how to read policies to make sure that you get every penny that you are legally entitled. Oh, okay, that's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to dig through my fire and take pictures. So make sure they are aware of what your services actually are at a high level. This is just a preliminary scoping call. This is not like nitty gritty getting in. And then the next is, do they have an understanding of the fee structure? Your contingency, that kind of thing. Do they understand how this works? Do they understand that if you get them $100,000 and they have to pay you 20%, that they're still going to have enough left with their $80,000 to do the rebuild? And people don't understand this. So can you explain it to them quickly over the phone, or make a note that this is going to have to be something that you explain in step 2 or step 3 a little bit further? So I want you to get the general awareness of where they think you are and what you're doing there. Okay. Authority. This is important. I've not lately, I'll say, but I have, over the course of the 23 years that I've worked with public adjusters, I've heard a lot of crazy stories. That's why I miss going to the conferences, because we would all go to the bar and tell crazy stories afterwards. Of someone that they actually got to sign a contract that wasn't the legal policy holder. Like, what? Like, no. Are these people that are contacting you, are they shopping on behalf of someone else? Is it a spouse calling because the other spouse doesn't have time? Maybe the husband's really the policy holder, but the wife is calling around just to find somebody. But end all be all, the husband is going to have to be the one to put, pen to paper kind of thing. Not to say that just because they're shopping on behalf of someone else that they are not the right person to talk to. They are the gatekeeper. You need to get by them to get to the policyholder kind of thing. Just here talking out loud to you, make sure that when you set up an in-person appointment, that the one at least of the actual legal policyholders are in attendance. Otherwise, it's more meetings, more explanation, waste of time, etc. Now, make sure they're the policyholder. Is it a company? Do they have are they authorized to work or to make legal decisions or signatures on behalf of the policyholder? I just worked with someone, a PA company, and they needed help tweaking things and figuring out how to document in ClaimWizard. So that's where my role was this. It was a property management company and property investment company in the US, but the legal owners and the policyholder was a company in Europe, in the UK. So, like, well, how do I do this? And they had a power of attorney and all these things, right? So I said, okay, this is where you take it. If that person standing in front of you in the US has legal authority to sign for things, that's great. But I probably would back it up with the copy of the power of attorney that grants them the access and the legal rights to make decisions on behalf of a UK company. Because you never want the carrier to come back and smack you on the hand saying, you got the wrong person to sign. So, dot the I's, cross the T's kind of thing. So you have to figure out the person that you're talking to, what their level of authority is on this. And the third one is age. How old is this damage? Is it an emergency situation? Are they calling you as they're watching their roof be blown off their building? That sort of thing. Is it a flood? Do they need mitigation? Like, are they calling you first before the fire department? Did they call you right after the fire department? Did they call you right after ServPro? Like, what's going on here? It could be damage that they just noticed. Like, how many times a year do people go in their attic? Maybe they went up there, they found damage. It could have happened anytime in the past 3 months. Or is it now you could see that if it's not like literally leaking, gas leaks, all these crazy kind of things, it's not an emergency situation. Recent storm or something that you could probably tie back to a recent storm. Or is there a possibility that they've been doing work and they uncovered, mold behind walls, or, anything like that? So figure out how old this claim is, or how old the damage is rather. If it's an emergency situation, chances, and it's a good sized fish, chances are, if you have heavy competition in the area, there will be other public adjusters vying for that work. Any of the other three, probably not. It's chances are it's because they've specifically sought you out. And I don't want to say the time frame and the urgency to get in touch with them is any less or more important than the others, But obviously, if it's an emergency situation, you're probably going to want even advise them as a friendly professional. Like, hey, you have a tub that's, busted pipe. You need to call, turn off your water, call the, a mitigation company, here's some that I use or whatever the deal is. Okay. So this is a tricky one. Again, because Lynette has crazy stories, I have seen people take phone calls, realize on the phone that that damage wasn't air quote worth their time and be like, okay, well, good luck, have a great time, goodbye. And you're leaving these policyholders hung out to dry. Um, if you have to say no to taking a client on, before a contract is signed or anything, I want you to do a few things. I want you to maybe give them resources to help go it alone. Uphelp.org. I love it. When you get these slides, anything that's in here, you can click and it takes you right to the thing. United Policyholders, nonprofit group. I absolutely love them. Amy is the face of it as far as I'm concerned. She's just brilliant. She's so kind and she helps policyholders all the time. But if a policyholder can't go it alone, United Policyholders says, hey, you should contact a public adjuster, which is great. But anyway, don't let people hang out to dry. Help them in some capacity, even if it's like a one sheet that you make or a pre-done email that says, yeah, sorry, I'm probably not the best fit for you, or your damage isn't that much, or whatever the deal is going to be, soften it up, send them resources. I want you to leave the door open because they may come back. They may have done this thing and then like opened a door and realized half their house was gone and they didn't realize, or just realize that the process is too overwhelming for them, that they want you to come and help them. Or what I've seen too is, their damage may be too small or not appropriate, or their coverage is not appropriate or what have you to hire a public adjuster. But in a month, their next door neighbor needs something that's huge. Well, you're going to be top of mind because you were helpful. And I also want you to send them a follow-up letter. So the follow-up letter probably has all of these resources in it. I'm so sorry about your damages. Best of luck to you. As a professional courtesy, I wanted to send along this information that I feel might help you, right? Do that, help them. Okay. So, number 2, this is what everyone fights me on. They all fight me on this. I want you to send, even if they call you at 9:00 in the morning and you are set to meet them at 3:00 in the same day, I want you to have a mega killer, huge email ready to go. And I'm going to show you how to do it, that you immediately send to that person, even if they only have 7 or 9 hours to look at it or 5 hours or whatever. I want you to send it ahead of time so they have this. Because the information that is on your screen right now for sending that pre-sales email, and by pre-sales, I mean pre-meeting them in person, right? Going to the property. I want you to send a complete sales deck that we are going to cover in a little bit, because it's funny, as a professional speaker, everybody always says, or a trainer or anything, don't give them the slide deck ahead of time because they'll look at it when they should be paying attention to you. Well, you know what? I don't really care if they pay attention to me. I care if they become a client. So if they get this information and they can look at it for the hours before I come, 90% of their questions are going to be answered ahead of time. And that is going to make my job so much easier. So this pre-sales email, honestly, is the zinger with getting signatures on the very first visit to a potential client. I want you to send your complete sales deck and you'll see what's in it. And it's going to be this big fat PDF, right? More than you'll show them in person, but they have it. I want you, so here's the thing right here, this one, send a sample of your contract. People are probably screaming in their head right now saying no. Fill it out, make it a PDF, put draft, whatever, fill the signature lines, like put stuff in there that says, not applicable, whatever, like make it look like it's a sample everywhere. To my knowledge, every state that I've ever worked with the PA, your contract needs to be approved by someone, right? Either your boss or the state or the commission, the insurance commission, or someone, right? An attorney. Send them a copy of your contract ahead of time. This is one of the biggest things that I see salespeople in public adjusting have to make repeat trips for. If the first time they're seeing your contract is when you show up with it in your hand and you want them to sign it, however many times out of 10, the answer is going to be no. Because I could tell you right now, if you put a contract in front of me that I've never seen before, I need to, especially for something like this. It's not like I'm signing up for the, record of the month club or something. Like, I want to know exactly what legally this entitles me to, how I can get out, all these other things. I'm going to review it. If it's a really big contract, I'm going to send it to my attorney. And that means I'm not signing it right now while you're sitting in front of me. Yes, you can answer my questions. You can tell me what's in that contract. But the fact is that what you tell me and what legally is on paper, a lot of people are skeptical about. So they will feel uncomfortable. Elderly people will either sign a contract and not understand what they're signing, which I've seen people get burned on, or they have to show it to their carekeeper. So that could be difficult. There's lots of things. If you send your contract over ahead of time, they can shop it around. They could feel comfortable. They could read it. They could Google clauses. They will be more comfortable. And then when you bring the contract that is pre-filled with their name and their loss information, etc., and your fee, you could say, see, look, they're exactly the same. And then we can sign them. I also want you to send a complete question and answer. And it could be an email, it could be a website, a link that you send them or something like that, that sort of thing. But there are 10 questions that are very common that United Policyholders advises property owners to ask you guys. So why not answer those questions ahead of time? Why not send the answers ahead of time so you're not spending your time doing that when you're actually there in person? So I also want you to send a high-level milestone list. So if you have a welcome letter, which we've talked about in prior webinars, and we're going to talk about them again, a welcome letter should include, hey, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for signing on for us. Now that we started your claim, these are the things, the high-level milestones that we're going to go through. No deadlines, no time frames, like you never want that there. But it's going to say, first, we're going to go to your property and we're going to do inspections. While we're doing that, we're going to need you to call your insurance company and ask for X, Y, and Z, certified declaration page, copy of contract, all the things you need. Then our adjusters are going to go and do this thing, however you want to word it. Then we're going to come back. We're going to look at the damage. We're going to submit it. Carrier's going to give us response. Typical things like that. Let them know the process of how it's going to go down so they understand they're going to need to be involved. You're going to have access to their property. They're going to have to sign additional paperwork, mortgage pre-auth, maybe the LOR has to be signed by them. Maybe the proof of loss has to be signed and notarized by them. Let them know that these things are coming. So nothing's worse than buying a house or a car, and then you have the keys and they're like, oh, wait, one more piece of paperwork. Or wait, we forgot to tell you this. We need this information for, like, that's a pain. Let them know upfront what you expect from them so they understand what the process is going to look like. Then I love, and this is something that I believe that should be done strongly when you get a contract signed, but then I thought about it and like actually get ahead of the contract is, for example, I know every state is different, but if a client signs a contract and they have 48 or 72 hours to legally back out, what can you do in that 48 to 72 hours that will keep that now client engaged and feeling immersed in this new partnership that they have with you, right? So how we do that is we give them something to do, right? In your pre-sales email, give them an inventory checklist, even if it's just a blank sheet of paper that has some headers on it that they can write out, grandma's china, all these things that they feel are important, checklists of paperwork to get from the insurance companies, how to start collecting receipts or going back over your credit card statements and getting information. Give them something to do. I really feel it's important. Now, let them know they don't have to do this before your meeting, but this is something that they will be expected to perform. And of course, any resources they may need, dry out companies, mitigation companies, anything like that that could help them if they have an immediate need. Okay. So really quickly in ClaimWizard, what I did is I am not a Microsoft Word person in any capacity. I could barely function in that program. I use a Mac, so I know all our software. I don't know anything about PCs. If you see in this first column on the left-hand side, you'll see presentation 4, bracket, bracket, client.fullname.com. Guess what? If you use ClaimWizard, that is a variable. You can upload a Word document that looks like a presentation. It doesn't have to be sideways. It can be up and down like a regular piece of paper. And you can have a lot of the information sucked in automatically and customized for a prospect. Otherwise, you just make it however you want to do it and send it out. But save it as a PDF and send it to your clients. But I really believe that a lot of information should be pre-done and ready to send literally with the click of an email going forward. So these are, and you will have them, but if you go to uphelp.org, there are questions to ask when you're hiring a public adjuster. Answer these questions and put them in a document, on a web page, whatever the deal is, and be very honest in answering them. So I won't go over them because reading reading the slides is actually one of the no-nos. But as you can see, we're going to be number 2. Will you be handling my claim personally? No matter what your company situation is, it's always a positive spin. If you are a sales rep and you hand it off to somebody else, your answer here is, well, I help match clients, with the best services that we offer. And then from there, we hand it to an expert of a public adjuster. He is the best the best person in the company to deal with this, etc. So they know that they're getting 2 separate people that are highly specialized in each flavor of whatever you're offering. If you are signing and adjusting, you explain this, that, you are there for them from beginning to end. Whatever the deal is, you need to spin it. Definitely be prepared because these are the top asked questions. I want you to have an answer ready to go, and I want you to pre-send these questions and answers to the people before your in-person meeting, if that makes sense. Make it personalized. So this is, and soon you'll be getting one of these from me after the webinar, and it will have a video and it will have information below it because I have already stacked PDFs and everything else in an email ready to go. All I have to do is record a quick video. You can do it from your phone. I use a product called BombBomb.com, BOMB.com. I absolutely love it. And you can see it makes it personalized here. So I can pre-do an entire huge pre-sales email. Here's your resources. Here's some resto companies, some dry out companies. Here's an inventory list. Here's our high level, here's a sample copy of my contract. Here's all of these things. As soon as you get off the phone with someone, you could fire it up in a web browser or bring it up on a mobile app. Say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like I feel like I have to have the video back on here. Like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, thanks so much for taking that phone call from me. I wanted to send across some information that might be really crucial for you to read through and understand what our in-person meeting is going to cover. If you have any questions in the meantime, please jot them down. I would love to answer them in person. Can't wait to see you Tuesday at 2:00. Take care. Bam, send, everything is done. Boilerplate this stuff. It makes your life easier, folks. There are other programs out that do it. I love video. As you can see, I keep putting myself on and off. I think that has a very highly personalized, because your email isn't necessarily personalized. You've already done it. But by the fact that you're addressing people in video and things like that, it hits those people that just want to read quickly and peruse or just click on links. And then some people want to see that video. Video will build your rapport with a client way before you even show up at their door. Absolutely. I've done extensive work with this with HVAC and electrical guys, and it works. It absolutely works. When they send a video email over ahead of time before the appointment, it's 100 at 100% acceptance rate. It could be pretty powerful. Okay. Why pre-sell? Makes closing, which is that third one, the third step, right, faster, because now you're not answering all those questions. Well, what is a public adjuster? Well, what do you mean by what your fee is for? What do you mean I have to get you pitched? All that's done. It makes your appointment shorter. I'm hoping for 30 minutes. And it also makes sure customers feel like they are in control. The more knowledge and information they have, they feel more solid and secure in the decision that they are making when they are partnering with you. Okay. When you show up on site, these are what you should be concentrating on. Not answering every question A to Z because they have that. Oh, you have this. Well, you know what? Here, look at number 3 answers that. Did you? Okay. Do you need more explanation besides that? No. Okay. We're good. Whatever. You can go through it that way. Establish rapport. This, besides their person of like health, of their physical body, their people's homes are their most intimate possession to them. They're letting you into this. Establish rapport with them. Answer whatever questions they may have. Verify the damage, because y'all know you walk into places and they say half my house is burnt down, and meanwhile they have a cigarette burn on their carpet. Verify and get the contract signed because they've already looked at it before. Worst comes to worst, you leave a contract with them and you tell them you're going to come back tomorrow for it. You're going to scan it in and give it whatever the deal is, but make sure you have a follow-up within 24 hours of that contract if you have to leave it with them. Don't let it go for a day or two. Absolutely call them by the next morning. Okay. The deal here is that you become a trusted advisor rather than a pushy salesman. And I like to think of myself as a trusted advisor when I work with people. I want to help you figure out the solution. I don't want to sell you something unless you have cookies. I like all of the Girl Scout cookies that are on the screen right now. We know no one likes solicitors. We know no one likes cold calling. We know people don't like that. We don't like it ourselves. Be an advisor to them. I know we can't use the word advocate, so use the word advisor. Oh, you don't see the slide, Hector? You might have to jump out and jump back in again. Sorry about that. But be helpful. Don't be sales. Okay. Now the sales framework, I am going to skip through a lot of the slides because I just want to show you the last one really quickly. Okay. When you get this deck, you'll just have this one, not all the pieces to it. It did the transitions when I exported it. It's not what I wanted. So when you're looking at this map online, this is the story arc that you should build with your sales deck and your little story and how it basically comes down. So when you're starting out, have a little bit about you and your company. You don't have to go into details. If they want it, they'll read it. All the way up to, well, what's the problem? Well, your kitchen burned down. Well, who has the problem? Well, the carrier doesn't have the problem. They'd rather pay you as little as they could possibly get around to. So who has the problem, homeowner? You have the problem. Do you have time to fix this? Oh, I don't know. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to read the contract? No. The policyholder is the problem. Next is, what is a client going to lose? So where is their pain point? It's not necessarily, because some people's why or what's in it for me is not what I'm gaining, but what am I losing? That could be really important, and you'll get to gauge that when you talk to the person. So you're going to lose the ability to sue if you don't know what you're doing. If you need to, you're going to lose the ability to recover monies for all applicable and legal damages, because the carrier is going to come to you with a check and you're going to go, okay, I'll take it. That's what you're going to lose. What are you going to do? What are you going to lose if you go by yourself? Time, sanity, money, that sort of thing. Expertise into this, spending a lot of your time learning how to do this. You might as well learn how to be a beekeeper, because, it probably take about as much time as, a homeowner trying to figure out what their policy is. Well, what's changed? This is near the apex of the story, right? Well, what's changed? Well, hey, you don't have to go by yourself. We're there to help you. We can advise you. We can work with you. And then the slope to the signature, right? How your services work, testimonials, review of the fee structure, if that's a thing. That's what you want. But that whole thing is like, you kind of build them up into a frenzy, like, oh my gosh, like, this is going to take me so much time and legalese, and I don't understand this. And what if the carrier asks me? Get them a little worked up. I hate to say it. Bam. Apex of the story is you have a solution for them. Match your slides to this. This is the story arc you want to follow. Sales equals stories. That's what I want you guys to know. Okay. I don't mean to rush through this, but I'm always mindful that I chat along a lot, and I want to keep everybody on my hour webinar. So how do sales decks go wrong? Well, the next are probably all the things Lynette does. So just so y'all know that. I thought this was ironic because I'm giving you statistics and no images. And those are exactly the things that people don't remember. A friend of mine always says 86% of all statistics are made up. 27% of all statistics are made up. Like he just makes up a number every single time he says it's made up. It's rather funny, but it's true. People don't necessarily remember statistics. They may remember pictures, right? They may remember something really drastic and kind of that pulls at you like a picture. What they do remember is stories. So if you tell them the story of, and I will say this from, one of our clients of, policyholder has a house that's literally half burnt down, including kitchens and bathrooms. And the carrier says, nope, you're not going to cover you. And the family loses their foster care kids because they no longer have sufficient way to house these children. It's a horrible story. So what happens is the public adjuster steps in, they rake, duly so, the carrier over the coals, and they get the house restored as fast as humanly possible so they don't lose their foster kids. That is a story that means something. I heard that story 3 years ago, and I shortened it obviously, but I will remember that story. Find your stories and tell them. And Jonathan is saying here, people believe what's on TV or on the screen that you're showing them. Right. By virtue of you showing them, it becomes truth for them. Obviously, don't lie. When I was a professional public speaker, by virtue of me standing on the stage in front of you, somehow I was the expert just because I'm standing there. You are the expert. Show their stories. They will remember the stories. So the mistakes to avoid that Lynette probably does all the time, and I'm sure you could probably find one, right? One, maybe. Too much information on slides. People love bullet points. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Reading the slides, which I'm doing right now. Talking too fast because I'm from Jersey, so that's how it's going to go. When I talk to folks from Alabama and Louisiana specifically, they tell me to slow down because we don't trust fast talkers. So I have to learn. But you can see here, there's a lot of things, right? The one thing that I definitely want you to think about is to define next steps for that prospect. Okay, well, we've had a meeting. I'm going to follow up with this, and here's the contract, and you're ready to sign it. If not, I will leave it and I will come back tomorrow for it. Like, just give them what you want them to do, that sort of thing. But you kind of want to weed out. Now, I'm not saying all these mistakes they're not all fatal, but try to weed them out if possible. Jonathan says come up or down on the client's level. Exactly. Sometimes when I chat with folks on the phone regarding ClaimWizard, they come in, they're a highly technical person. So when I talk to them about cache and rest procedure, like all these technical things, they're like, yeah, I get it. I know what an API is. And some people do not understand that. So I can't use the jargon. I can't talk at a specific level. I won't say my level. It's just a different level. So make sure that you can accommodate for sure, and make sure, because you never want to talk down to a client. You never want to make them feel stupid. That's why I like pre-sending them something. So when you say certified declaration page, they understand what it is, and now they feel empowered because they know what this is. And trust me, they're not going to take your email and they're not going to go try to do it themselves, because part of showing them everything is showing them how difficult it is. Okay. Questions. I have resources. Obviously, on the webinar, they're not clickable, but I will send everyone that is on this webinar, registered or not, or registered or showed up or whatever, I will send you a copy of this PDF. But when we put it on YouTube, it will have links below that you can click on all these resources. So I wanted to give you some help here. Some of it is because it's help that I need, and some of it it's just general good help for everyone. Is resources you can use. So each of these will be clickable. Google Docs has great templates, free templates out there, right? So I don't believe that a presentation always has to be like a PowerPoint side to side. I think you can use a Word document would be fine. If it's Google Docs and you want to use it in ClaimWizard, we would have to make it into a Google Doc or into a Word doc, which isn't that big of a deal. Microsoft Word has pretty slim pickings when it comes to free templates. There are tons that are out there that you can buy for $1 or $2, or tons of places with free sites for templates. So find something that kind of matches your colors and things like that. Bomb emails. I love. You're all getting one soon. And it's pre-done, and I've already stacked it because it's part of my checklist that I go through for webinars to make sure that I've taken all these slides, all the links, everything you need, have it ready to go so I could press send and you could be off to the races immediately. And then the last one I like is Grammarly because I'm from New Jersey and my grammar is horrible. So it will help you write good sales copy. It will fix your grammar, commas, tell you if you're being too formal or too cutesy or what have you. It's free. You could pay up for it, but the free version is great. I think it's an amazing tool to have. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Because now is about the part where it goes to Q&A or we cover whatever. And if you're on the webinar live, you're here. And if you're on YouTube, you may not be. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of let you know a little bit more that's going on with the webinars and with ClaimWizard and with helping you in general. We do have a webinar coming up August 5th. So I know it's in a couple from now. Oh, thanks, Rick. He said it was great so far. So who's actually going to do this is what I want to know. I have all your emails. I'm going to check up with you in a couple of weeks and see if you put your slide deck together. So Fix This Next is a small business methodology that I have become certified in. We are doing a webinar on it because if you look at this grid online here, we'll make it bigger so everybody can see it. This is the business hierarchy of needs: sales, profits, order, impact, and legacy. I know where most public adjusting companies focus, but I also know where they should be focusing. So we're going to be talking about a lot of that on this particular webinar. There is a link you can take a free assessment. So if you want to kind of figure this out on your own, see where your company stands and where you should be focusing on building a better mousetrap, you can take that free assessment. So that's kind of something that I'm giving out to the ClaimWizard community. And of course, a list of all of our upcoming webinars. We've programmed them out through September. ClaimWizard.com/webinar has them all listed out, signups for all of them. If you don't care about going to them live, you can always watch them on YouTube a day or so later. People ask me, what's the benefit of coming here? It's the sidebar, I suppose. But we have a lot of information coming up on webinars. So I think that this can be really helpful for you. If you have any suggestions, please let us know because we have also started the ClaimWizard Show, which is our podcast. Some of these webinars we're stripping the audio from and making them into podcasts. And then we have a lot more information that is going podcast only, including things like how to choose your public adjusting name, how to hire and fire and train public adjusters, like all kinds of stuff is going into the podcast. Okay. What else do we have? That's it. If you want more videos and you want to see this afterwards, ClaimWizard.com/webinar is the landing page for all of that. I also embed all of the prior YouTube videos in there as well. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Jonathan is saying that he said good information. Thank you. That he's done a lot of similar things and you're spot on. Thank you. That makes me feel good because I'm a sponge. I research the death out of everything and I want to like assimilate and condense down the best information that I could find for you guys. Rising tides raise all ships. See, y'all thought you were going to get through the webinar without me saying that phrase, but the stronger one of us can be to teach us the rest, the stronger we all are. I really, truly believe that. So thank you again all very much. I fully expect all of you to be redoing your sales process. Number 2, that spot, send the pre-sales email. It will save you so much time and so much aggravation.